Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Have you been thinking about your purpose? Yesterday, I was talking about purpose, and I mentioned that Bob Proctor was my mentor, and he used to talk about what is your purpose? What vision do you have for your ideal life? What will you be doing? Who will you be serving? How will you be feeling? And be grateful. Be grateful for what you've already accomplished and what's coming next, because it's in a spirit of gratitude that you welcome in the people, the resources, the circumstances, everything that you require to fulfill your purpose, to attain that vision, to live the vision. And in order to do that, we set inspirational goals, not smart goals, not realistic goals, but goals that get you to your vision, that allow you to discover your purpose. Know why you're here. You are a spiritual being. You've been gifted with an intellect. You have a physical body to bring into physical reality the vision that's in your mind. In fact, you're the only one who can do it. You're the physical representation of the spirit who will bring that dream goal into reality, because you're the only one who can see it in your mind at this time. It's going to take a different way of thinking. It's going to take a different way of being. It's going to take different actions. And it's going to take some faith and belief in yourself. And that has to be developed. Yesterday, I read the first part of Bob Proctor's story on purpose, vision, and goals. And I'm going to carry on because he says vision is the key connector between one's daily goals and one's lifetime purpose. So I just want you to sit back and relax. Maybe grab a pen and paper and write down any inspired thoughts that come to you, any action steps that you might take to lead you toward your beautiful goal, or just to think about if there was no worries about time and money, what would you be going after? What would you love? And I'll just read the next part of Bob Proctor's story. He tells us to fix on your vision and then plot your course. This summer, I had a wedding to attend in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I had a few days to spare, and my wife and I enjoyed each other's company, so I suggested to Linda that we drive instead of flying. She readily agreed and started collecting the maps we would need for the trip. As we plotted the course, we would be driving from Toronto to Detroit, Detroit to Cincinnati, Cincinnati to Lexington, Lexington to Louisville, and then into Gatlinburg. We were plotting the vision, you see, to get us from point A to point B. When we got in the car to begin the trip, which city was I thinking of? Detroit. I had to get to Detroit first. if I missed Detroit, there'd be a good chance we wouldn't find our way to the wedding at all. Detroit was first on my list. That was my goal. After Detroit was accomplished, Cincinnati became my goal, and so on, all the way to my final destination, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I've had people come up to me and tell me that they've given up on their big dreams because they never seem to get closer, no matter what they envisioned or what they tried. The error they're making is that they're looking for Gatlinburg, Tennessee, while they're still sitting in the driveway in Toronto. In many cases, they're writing their Gatlinburg goal on a goal card that I've given them, or they're writing it in a journal somewhere. This is all well and good, but if you're not also plotting your course to get from here to where you want to be, if you're not figuring out the first goal for Detroit, then following the plot line forward in progressive order, you're going to end up in Montreal instead. You've got to plot the course. Figure out what you need to do between here and there and make those your goals. So I've often talked about driving from Saskatoon to Florida, and you don't get in the middle of South Dakota and realize you're not in Florida and turn around and go back to Saskatchewan. You have to plot the course. In the old days, we had maps, paper maps, and you would chart a course. You would map it out. You would know where you were spending the night and how many days it was going to take you to drive that distance. Well, now we have GPS in the vehicles, and you can program the GPS to get where you want to go. And the beauty of that is you're following along, and it tells you if there's obstacles in the way, if there's construction, if there's a faster route. But you can't rely totally on that GPS, because I've heard of people ending up in the middle of the desert because they tried to take a faster route and the road was under construction, or it went through a different city that they weren't familiar with and they got lost. Well, you have an actual GPS system inside of you, and if you program it for your destination, it will take you there. But there are goals that you have to set along the way, maybe a 30-day goal, a 90-day goal, before you get to that beautiful dream goal. But you never want to give up on your dream goal. You want to set that as what you truly desire, whether it's peace, love, harmony, a beautiful relationship, maybe running your own business and flourishing, having money flowing into your bank so that you don't worry about paying your bills. You're more concerned about who you can help and where you can do the best good, the most good with your money. It's not about the money, it's about what you can do with it, living a beautiful life and helping others, lift others out of poverty. So we don't focus on lack and limitation and poverty. We focus on wealth and joy, happiness, and ideal service to our loved ones, to our customers. You've got to plot the course, figure out what you need to do between here and there, and make those your goals. You might have a beautiful dream goal written down on your goal card. Maybe you're carrying it with you, as Bob Proctor used to say, carry your goal card in your pocket or your purse, and every time you touched it, that would signal to your brain where you're going. Maybe you've created a vision board or written out exactly what it looks like, where you're going. What does it look like now that you're there? And you're not going to know the entire path. Like climbing a mountain, you don't know what's around every corner. If you're driving a long distance, you don't know all the construction and all the accidents and surprises that are going to meet you on the way. There will be obstacles, but you don't give up and turn around and go back to your comfort zone if you really want to attain that beautiful dream. So I'm going to carry on with Bob Proctor's story. He says, once you have the course plotted, there are three very distinct rules of thumb I want you to remember. First, just because you've plotted the course doesn't mean you can put your whole plan on autopilot. When pilots reach cruising altitude, they'll quite often put the plane on autopilot and let years of genius physics and calculus computations steer the plane towards its destination. But even with autopilot, you've got to manually get the plane in the air and manually land it. And even with autopilot, you've got to keep an eye on your instruments and pay attention to possible curveballs that Mother Nature might toss your way. You cannot rely on autopilot to get you where you want to go. You have to be personally involved and focused on the process. Second, you don't get so carried away with details of plotting the action steps within your vision that you don't ever get out of your driveway. You know what I'm talking about. You see people around you do it all the time. They get so caught up in planning and charting and graphing their future that they never begin it. This is fear in disguise. That's all it is. It's fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, maybe fear of success. Your plan doesn't have to be perfect. Get the foundational elements in place and get moving. You know, you can dream and wish and hope and plot and plan, but if you don't take action, not only are you not going to get to your goal, you're probably going to end up freezing and being so fearful and so scared of giving up what you already have that you end up going backwards, you end up disintegrating, you end up causing things to get worse in your life instead of better. We want to be focused on what do you really want, not designing every single detailed plan before you start taking action. You're going to have to take action even if it's scary. And that's sometimes failing and falling flat on your face and getting up and starting over again or going on to the next plan. And Bob tells us the third distinct rule of thumb: don't be so intent on motoring to Detroit that you miss the scenery along the way. You're on purpose. You're on your way. Enjoy the journey, for heaven's sake. After all, that's what you're doing this for, isn't it? And when the vision doesn't work, Now, it's imperative that you do not confuse your purpose with your vision. In our solar system, the sun is the one stable element around which all the planets revolve. Your purpose is your sun. It doesn't move, it doesn't change. Your vision and its subsequent goals are the planets that revolve around your purpose's perimeter. People will often say that they thought they were keyed in on their purpose in life, but for some reason, nothing seemed to be falling into place to further that purpose. They mistakenly conclude that it's the purpose that is off kilter. While this may be true, in most cases, it's not the purpose that's off kilter, it's the vision that's not getting you there. If you've really honed in on that inner voice, if you've been true to yourself, if you've not allowed any negativity to sway you from what you believe your purpose to be, if you have duly noted that these unique gifts of yours actually run in your blood, then you're on purpose. It's simply time to do some analysis of the vision that you've put in place. I want you to imagine that you're in Chicago and that your goal is to go to Detroit. Away you go in a rush, you're driving and driving, and you stop and grab a coffee. You get back in the car and keep driving. All of a sudden, you see a sign up ahead that says Nashville, 186 miles. You think, what the heck? I'm going to Detroit. Nashville is in the opposite direction. Now you're concerned and even a little worried. You might even be a little miffed, but you keep driving in the same direction. An hour goes by and you see another sign, Nashville, 102 miles. At this point, you're downright annoyed. How in the world could this be happening, you ask yourself. But you keep driving. Now, if this were a real life happenstance, you wouldn't keep driving. As soon as you would come across the first indication that you were driving in the wrong direction, you'd brake the car to a halt and do a U-turn right there on the highway. You'd bump across a dirt median between the two highways and you wouldn't even care if a sign stood right there telling you that this median was reserved for official use only. This is official use, you'd grumble to yourself as you swing across and merge with the oncoming traffic. I've been going in the wrong direction for an hour, for heaven's sake. Why is it that in real life, you'd have no compunction about immediately changing your direction, but when it comes to changing direction on the vision you have in place, you keep driving in the wrong direction, even while you know it's the wrong place to go? The key is that you take note of the street signs and indicators that are trying to alert you to the fact that you're going in the wrong direction. You know what those nudges are. They happen every day, these inner knowers that are working to keep you on track and on purpose. When you're not on track to your goal, when you're not moving on your vision, you're going to feel bad about yourself and what you're doing. This is a clear indication that you're not on purpose. Your intuitive mind is screaming at you. Intuition is that marvelous mental muscle that is telling us the direction we should be going. It's part and parcel of the orderly universe we exist in. It's here for a very definite reason. There's a difference between bumping up against dead-end brick walls. This is where your intuition kicks in. and meeting up with resistance as you pursue your vision. When resistance comes up, that old crotchety paradigm might perk up to assure you that you're on the wrong path, that it wouldn't be this difficult if you were on the right path. Those old programs in your head that are telling you to quit are not connected to your intuitive source. And as you get to know your inner knower, you'll begin to recognize the feeling that you get that distinctly separates your intuition from a bad talking paradigm. Resistance is not bad, it's not negative. The good that you are seeking is here. In fact, everything you're seeking is seeking you. Your action causes a reaction, and that reaction represents resistance. Remember that airplanes would not only not fly, but they would never get off the ground without resistance. When you are on purpose, your goal guides you toward the good that you desire. And through the law of vibration and attraction, the good you desire is moving in your direction. Keep going through the resistance. And as Henry David Thoreau said, you will meet with success unexpected in common hours. So what happens when you're not doing what you should be doing? Bob Proctor says there's one last point I'd like to make about recognizing your purpose. More often than not, people have difficulty getting focused on what it is they're put on this planet to do because they're already doing something day in and day out that exhausts their time. And in the end, they feel that they're on the right track because they're covering most of their bills. Just because you have a 9-to-5 obligation and your bills are getting paid doesn't mean that you've figured out your true purpose. This fact, however, can often block or impede your progress toward the better and higher use of your time and talents. Now, some people get stuck and are afraid or reluctant to make a move because they just can't see how their purpose will pay the bills. Furthermore, they've been programmed from infancy to believe that it is better to be safe than sorry. In this context, it is not better to be safe than sorry. When you picture yourself reaching the end of the road, do you think you'll be happy because you had a safe trip, but you never did the things that you dreamed about? And rather than reliving the exciting, growth-oriented experiences that you had, you ended up wondering what would have happened if you had stepped out and molded your own future. On the other hand, there are people who land on their purpose and, throwing all caution to the wind, stop everything they're doing, including their paying jobs, to seek out this higher end for their lives. Well, I have some admiration for this attitude and believe that people who take this action are eventually going to land on their feet. Drastic actions such as waking up and quitting your job tomorrow morning is maybe not something I'd recommend. You see, you can't pursue your purpose if your basic needs of life are not met. Over the years, I've seen a number of people quit their full-time jobs because they want to devote more time and energy to building up this master plan, this dream in their mind. Within weeks, they begin to see that their needs are not taken care of, and they immediately begin to worry about making ends meet, and they blow it. When your needs are taken care of, you're free to move. You're free to take action. Freedom is simply the clear expression of spiritual power to and through you. When you're enjoying freedom, you're free of constricting worry. You don't lie awake at night planning your escape from your less than satisfactory life because you're already free. Let's give yourself a mental break for a few hours. Find a way to get your financial needs met. And then, can you find a job that completely gives you the freedom and flexibilities to work a few hours each and every day on what your true purpose is? Just how ambitious are you? And what are you willing to sacrifice or endure in order to get yourself moved onto the right track? The fact is, no matter how easily your purpose comes to you, you'll be asked to make some sacrifices in order to fully bring it into your life. In order to have any good come into your life, you must first create space for it. This is the law. When I mention sacrifice, there are people who envision some kind of Old Testament ritual that involves really unhappy goals, unhappy goats. I'm not talking about that kind of sacrifice. There's a common misconception out there that sacrifice means you're losing something. You're not losing here. When you're sacrificing something in order to operate at a higher level, your purpose and mission on this planet, you're just giving up something of a lower nature to bring in something of a higher nature. And you can't get to the top of the ladder unless you leave the bottom. This is true in every facet of life. Think of the people who are looking for a new relationship, but they still haven't let go of the old one. Look at the people starting diet programs who just can't give up their morning bagel with cream cheese. And in today's economy, there are all kinds of people who have been downsized and are out looking for a new position, but they've still got the old position with its negative emotional baggage fixed in their mind. What would you sacrifice in order to move into a new life, in order to obtain your dream, in order to do every day what you love to do? As a guideline, I tell my students and seminar attendees to consider sacrificing first what is not vital to your survival, and second, what is not required to achieve your purpose. You're not going to endanger your life or the lives around you. You're not going to give up your health, but you might give up something you enjoy as a pastime, or maybe spending the evening watching TV or binge watching Netflix. You must be willing to endure a temporary cash crunch in order to get a brilliant idea up and running. You might be willing to give up 1 or 2 nights a week in order to receive the education, training, or certification you need to get one step closer to your goal. There's an enormous difference between hunger and greed. Hunger is understanding that you have an infinite source of supply and that you're here to do God's work. After all, God is the creator and God's work is creation. That's why we all possess this hunger to express this power in a greater way every day. Establish your purpose, build on your vision, and set a beautiful goal. Create a wonderful day. Forgive the past, release it from your mind. Wrap your arms around yourself and recognize what you truly love to do. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7. If you're watching this on YouTube, please consider liking, sharing, and following me. Otherwise, see you tomorrow morning at 7. Thank you.